Hello, everyone. I'm Christoph Laputka, and this is Leviathan Presents. It's a segment where we highlight one audio fiction creator, have a conversation, and then play a full episode of their show right here in our feed. I hope you'll enjoy today's guest, and without further ado, let's get into the interview. This is Leviathan Presents. Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Leviathan Presents, and today we have a treat because we're welcoming back our first return guest. The incredibly talented Jonathan Pezza is here, and we're going to talk about his new show, The Exile. So let me introduce Jonathan again, who is the showrunner behind the Curious Matter Anthology podcast. Jonathan is an award-winning creator of film and TV marketing and has worked with Marvel and Pixar and is one of the best designers of soundscapes in audio fiction today. His new multi-episode show, The Exile, represents season 3 of Curious Matters, and today we're going to be playing the first episode of that show for you right here. But before we do that, we're going to talk to Jonathan about The Exile, his vision for the show, and what went into its creation. Jonathan, welcome back to Leviathan Presents.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here. We've got this exciting new season coming out. We've been in the works now for over a year and a half. We went through Kickstarter to bring it to life. I partnered with Tiffany Smith on this season as a producer, and she's also starring in the show. You would have heard her as Andra on Masters of the Universe, Revelation and Revolution. She was recently in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and she's just one of the most creative and amazing people I've met working in this industry so far.
Now, I know a little bit about what's been going on behind the scenes of your new show, and the talent you've been able to assemble for this new show is amazing. But before we get into that, I'd love you to tell everyone what The Exile is all about and why you chose it as season 3 for Curious Matters.
Yeah, so The Exile is a noir police thriller set on Mars. It's a bit of like if you took a Fistful of Dollars and crossed it with The Martian, you'd get The Exile. It follows.
That's great.
It follows a disgraced ex-Earth federal agent who's been deported from Earth to this fledgling colony of Mars. It's half terraformed. It's extremely corrupt and troubled, and she finds herself there, sort of in the middle of one of what. In a future history version of one of humanity's most pivotal moments. And she has to deal with it all from this ground level perspective, working as a police officer in Marsport, the most dangerous city in the solar system.
Well, I think you really hit it on the head when you talked about this noir feel, because when I was listening to it, I got so much Blade Runner from it. I got, use an older reference, Outland, which is an old Sean Connery science fiction movie. And you really captured that kind of grizzled outcast noir, but with this really realistic sci-fi bent to it. One of the kind of audio stories I like the most are ones that offer real world building opportunities. And you've really fleshed out a very detailed world of near future planetary colonialism, and you utilized a lot of real life scientific concepts.
Yeah, well, the story is based off of Police Your Planet, which was written by Lester Del Rey. It was released in 1953, and it was really ahead of its time. We had very little actual scientific knowledge about Mars at that time, and his story was highly accurate. And so that set the framework for me to take that baseline and expand it using the theories and technologies and ideas that we have today for how we could actually terraform Mars. So all of that was built into the story. The fact that, the challenges of actually terraforming Mars are that not only do we have to introduce oxygen into the atmosphere, but we have to create a magnetosphere that protects it. We have to deal with the chlorine content that is inside the regolith sand that's there. Like, there's a lot of very specific things that you have to overcome in order to actually terraform Mars. And those challenges become part of the culture for the people living on Mars, which is as important as the technological hurdle is the psychological hurdle of those things. And that plays into the way the entire culture is built in our story.
I think you did such a great job of incorporating those concepts into the plot. One of the things I'd love to hear you talk about is kind of what this Earth exile, Bryce, that comes to Mars. What makes her so special when someone just arrives on the planet?
Well, I don't want to give too much away because you guys are going to listen to the first episode and before getting into more of the twist and turny plot. The first episode really is about acclimating to the difference of what it's like on Mars, the loneliness and the idea of being separated from the people you love and sent to a place that's 60 million miles away from everything you know.
Yeah.
What does it mean to like find work? How do you interact with local authorities when you have far less protections than maybe you do here on Earth? So all of those things come into it. We had a really exciting thing back to the science, actually. There's been a really amazing thing that's happened with our real world exploration of Mars in the last couple of years, and that's that the Perseverance rover on Mars has two microphones. And so for the first time in human history, we can actually hear the sounds of Mars. And
That is so cool.
and one of the great things is that everything that NASA captures is public domain. It's usable in any way that you want. And so we've incorporated actual sounds from the surface of Mars into the design.
I think that that's so innovative. And, again, I always think that science fiction is best when it's rooted in some real world concepts. And you brought that to another level in audio. I mean, to use actual sounds from Mars, I thought that was so cool. But in addition to getting a hold of like this incredible outer space footage, you also got a hold of an incredible cast for this new season. And I'd love you to tell us all a little bit about the cast of The Exile and how did you get all of these people to do this project?
That's the real question. Well, it really starts with season one. You know, it all started alone. I keep saying this over and over again. It all started alone in a basement with me doing all the voices and slowly bringing people in that I knew. I live in Los Angeles. I work in the entertainment industry. I have some friends that are working actors, and I very slowly started bringing people in. But as I brought each person in, they were so in love with what we were able to create that they then told their friends. And so what started out with Sandeep Parikh in season one, and then that led to Colin Ferguson and Tiffany Smith in season two. And Tiffany Smith has led us to all of these amazing people in her circle. We have Phil Lamar in this season, who is basically a voice acting legend. He has been in everything. He's Samurai Jack. He is the voice of Hermes Conrad on Futurama. He is a fantastic person and just has been a wonderful performer for us in this season. We've also been able to bring back Colin Ferguson, who you might know from Haven and Eureka, and more recently, The Summer I Turned Pretty. We have Trace Lysette. So this is a really interesting thing. The original story of The Exile had one of the earliest transgender characters that I've ever found in science fiction. It was written in a way where the lexicon didn't necessarily describe them as such, but their character was very clearly intended to be transgender. And the character was awesome. It's this smuggler power broker. And so in finding that, we had this real opportunity to present a co-lead and find a really wonderful trans actor to portray Mother Corey. And Trace Lysette has joined us, who you would know from Transparent. And it's just an unbelievable performance. We also have Anjali Bhamani joining us, who is on Miss Marvel. We have Raymond Lee joining us from Quantum Leap and Caitlin Bassett from Quantum Leap. We've got Todd Stashwick, who was most recently on Star Trek Picard. We've got Milana Weintraub, who was in Silicon Valley, and she was in Werewolves Within, and she is the voice of Squirrel Girl from Marvel Rising. We've got Kevin Smith, which is just bonkers. We were so lucky that he said yes, and he said yes during our Kickstarter phase, and it really helped open the doors for a lot of other people like Eugene Bird, Tracy Toms, who was in Rent and Death Proof. Sandeep Parikh is back. He's producing as well this season. We've got Malcolm Barrett from The Boys and Average Joe and Preacher. We've got Kevin Avery from The Daily Show. Just this unbelievable cast.
It's really incredible. I mean, you really created a beacon for all these people to create this great audio fiction story. I mean, like, it's a testament to the story that so many people wanted to be part of the project. I think that's so cool.
I pinch myself every day because, I would have never expected, starting this out that we would get here. But really the goal has always been to make radio theater and audio fiction feel like the movies.
And I think you do that almost better than anybody because your stories are so immersive. When you started envisioning the Mars soundscape and what the characters were going through, what was the first thing you wanted to convey? What were the first things that you wanted to get out as a creator?
I wanted the loneliness that
Oh,
is
yeah.
caused by that claustrophobia to be present in every state because you are always living life. And for the most part, the haves on Mars don't have to live their lives entirely inside of the suits, inside of the rigs, is what we call them. But the have nots do. And so they may not have cell phones on Mars because there's technological hurdles and limitations to how much technology they can maintain. And so there's a low techness to Mars, as well as this separation between people that comes from everybody having to live their lives mostly inside of these suits. So I wanted the experience of being in the suit to have just an impact on you from the first moment you feel her put it on. I wanted it to feel like your entire life was spent inside this bubble and everything outside of it was just a little bit fuzzy, a little bit, her voice bounces off the inside of the suit. So whenever she's talking and she's in a suit, you hear the inside of her helmet.
Hmm.
There's an air valve that's like right behind your ear because we're doing fully binaural, fully immersive. So please wear headphones when you're listening today, because when you put the headphones on, that air valve literally is in your helmet behind you. It's pretty amazing.
We're going to be listening to chapter 1 today. Chapter 2 and 3 are available on your premium channels, which will.
So no, so when this you guys will be listening to part 1, one way ticket today. But part 2 will be available on our free stream if you head over to Curious Matter Anthology on your favorite podcast app. But you can also get part 3 if you subscribe to our early access, which is through CMA Universe Plus exclusively on Apple Podcasts. And we are offering early access 2 weeks ahead for anyone who subscribes to that.
And it's totally worth it because the story is so engaging. I don't want to give too much away, but in all the work you did in building it, and it's 8 chapters altogether, what was the most challenging scene that you had to create? Without giving too much away, what was the one that sticks out to you most, and what went into creating that?
Yeah, so we have 46 cast members to date. It's actually 8 main episodes, 8 mini episodes, and then we're also doing 8 after shows where we go behind the scenes with the cast. But I think the most challenging scene so far to put together has been the riot scenes that will come a little bit later in the show, where you really get the sense of this 360 environment that you're in as people are fighting for their rights on Mars, and like what it's like to be in a police state, what it's like to fight against it, and just the cacophony of life that exists around you, because we wanted to make sure that inside of that moment, those kinds of moments, if you were to go back and listen a second time, you would be picking out mini stories of things and people and events happening around you that are mixed in to the experience that, the first time around, you're very much caught in the main characters. But if you go and listen again, you start hearing these like mini stories pop out around you, because we use part of our ambience, the way that we create the world is to include secondary and tertiary dialogues and things mixed back into the ambiences.
Which is almost like doing 2 shows in once, right? I mean, like, the hardest thing to do is crowd sounds because it's really doing twice, if not 3 times as much work, right?
Well, you start with some stock sounds, you create this baseline, and then you layer and layer and layer and layer until you hit that point where you're like, okay, that's it. All right, we're at that point where it feels real, and then you move on to the next challenge. Yeah.
Well, this is The Exile is a little bit of a departure for Curious Matters, isn't it? 'Cause it's season 3, but it's one continuous story where previously you were more of an anthology, isn't that correct?
Well, we're still an anthology. We're just a seasonal anthology now, as opposed to being. Our stories tended to be between 2 and 5 episodes in prior seasons. And we just decided, hey, people really latched on to Star Hunter in season 2 and really wished there had been more to it. And we thought, well, why don't we give our audience a complete meal for the season? So, our 8 main episodes follow Bryce. Our 8 minisodes will explore the world and other characters in greater detail. We have just released our interactive map of Marsport that you can find on cmanthology.com. Which you can also learn more about the world and the different domes and the different neighborhoods of Marsport, which is really important to how our story works as a whole. We really just wanted to create something for our audience that let them dive as deep as we felt the story could go.
And we'll be posting a link to look at that Marsport map in our show notes. And I highly recommend that our listeners take a look at it, especially as you're listening. It's some beautiful graphic assets that you put together, and it really does aid the story in terms of understanding kind of how Mars is set up.
And it's a real location on Mars, like the actual, the Capri Peninsula where it all takes place. And the Mariner Valley and the Capri Chasm that are all right there are all real places on Mars.
That's so awesome. Well, I'm really excited to dive into the first episode. We're going to start playing it now. And just so everybody knows where to get it, where can everybody find The Exile?
Yeah, you can find us on all your podcast apps. We're also available online at cmanthology.com, or you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at cmanthology. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you like it, please subscribe, and review.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to share it with our listeners. Jonathan Pezza, thank you so much for coming back to Leviathan Presents. And without further ado, this is the first episode of The Exile.
Mars Gateway, this is Icarus 2 requesting entry burn.
We hear it loud and clear, Icarus 2. You are cleared for a burn drop at marker 2.
Into Gateway, triggering burn down.
Was Poison Rain by our own local troubadours, Suffer City. This is Epidemic Radio, and I am your cure. Rand, as always. Today is going to be a balmy 79 with a low tonight of minus 103. That big dust storm the SyncSats were tracking thankfully turned north out of the Mariner Valley and is safely headed towards Orson Welles. It appears that freight shipments may finally be back on track. Icarus 2 should be dropping its cargo right about now. Before slingshotting back towards our former overlords.
Navigator arriving at Gate 3. Please stand clear of the gantry.
In local politics, it appears support has been growing for Mazia Nolan, whose reformer platform is in stark contrast to the Wayne administration.
Please proceed to a customs terminal for processing.
Nolan is holding a rally tomorrow night in the District 3 amphitheater. Should be a party, if you know what I mean. Be safe out there, kiddos.
All fruits and vegetables must be reported on Form 11B.
Step forward, please. Name and reason for trouble.
Bryce Gordon. And I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Place your arm under the scanner. Hold on right here. Sir, we have a yellow card.
I was told to ask for refugee status in accordance with the charter.
Just a tick. Yep, she's a G-man. Big one, too. Solid green by the look of her. Ah, okay. Copy that, son. Ale, processing room 3. Over to the left.
You're my yellow card, huh? You're a tough-looking customer, aren't you?
I guess I am. I'm seeking refugee status in accordance with the Charter of Terran Colonies.
That's a dangerous word around here.
Refugee?
Colony. This here is a sovereign republic. We ain't no puppet state like the other dirtballs. Not off to a good start, G-man.
I'm sorry. I was informed during deportation you had to accept my application for provisional settlement.
I could just as easily let you starve to death here in the terminal.
Look, I'm not here to make trouble.
Oh, I'm just yanking on you. We love refugees.
Okay.
I see in your application you were a cop on Earth.
Something like that.
You planning on getting back into the trade here? Big one with grav strength like you. Always looking for bruisers in Marsport City. Could help get you a referral. For a fee, of course.
Gonna try and steer clear of all that.
You familiar with how things work here?
Meaning?
Well, the air, of course, is getting better every year, thanks to the tradesmen and their big machines. But still, you walk outside without a helmet, you dead right quick. We don't live that luxury life you's used to. Free air, free water. Everything here has a price.
Yeah. I get you.
Did you bring your own rig?
Yes.
I'll need to inspect it.
Suit. Helmet. I was told they're top of the line. Kevlar and nano weave.
What would an earther know about good gear? No good this year. I'll have to confiscate it. For your safety, of course.
Hold on.
Don't make me change my mind about you. You can purchase a new one at the terminal depot for a nominal fee.
Look,
If you don't want to buy one, what am I gonna do? Welcome to Mars. I trust it will be all you hoped for and more.
Thanks, I guess.
One more question, though. The yellow card. What'd you have to do to piss off a whole planet?
That is the question I've been asking myself for the last 6 weeks. Since the tribunal found me guilty and stripped me of the only home I'd ever known. It's the question I asked on the cramped 3-week journey in that tin can strapped to an ion engine that pushed me like a pawn 150 million miles across the solar system. And the answer I've come to is that the most dangerous thing in this universe is truth.
1 minute to new funeral.
That's me. Getting off here.
You sure? This is a pretty rough blur. Even MPF don't have the balls to patrol here.
Thanks. I'll be alright. Not that I'm one of those assholes with an angel complex. I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when a toxic drop of information fell into my lap and started burrowing into me. The kind of information that can spark revolutions, you know. What was I to do? I caught it like the flu, and it tore my life apart. And now I'm here, an ex-boxer, ex-cop, ex-mother, ex-citizen of Earth, stuck on a mudball the color of dried blood, where even the dust is trying to kill me.
Suit pressure nominal. Battery at 78%. Warning, suit maintenance required. Please replace emergency seals at the soonest convenience.
The depot clerk at the terminal didn't even have the shame to flinch when they tried to sell me back my own pressure suit and helmet at 10 times the price I paid on Earth. With no choice and nowhere near the scratch, I bought a used local rig. Cheap plastic, with a helmet that smelled of stale sweat. It might not be pretty, but that would keep me alive.
This is you, then, miss.
Thank you.
Airlock sealed. It's now safe to exit the transport.
New Kinross had a dome at some point. A giant vinyl, fabric, and Kevlar bubble like the ones dotting the rest of Marsport. Little more than giant balloons held aloft by the pressure differential created by the air inside. The giant concrete balustrades that had once held it in place were now only a graffiti-covered Stonehenge-like ruin, ringing the dilapidated neighborhood.
Hey, lady! You need a convoy? I get you wherever you need to go safe, Ale. 15 shits. Better deal, Lily.
I'm good.
NK not safe for nobody these days. Tell you what, call it 25.
The knife on my belt keeps the hungry, sunken eyes in their patched, disposable rigs at bay. This is the kind of place no one cares about. Not the cops, not the gov. Not even enough to provide these poor sods here life-giving air. No one looks too close at the things that go on inside the hermetically sealed buildings of New Kinross. And that suits me just fine.
I don't know you.
This the chicken coop? I'm looking for Mother Corey.
Hobble off and try your game somewhere else, kid.
Lan Gordon told me to find Mother Corey if I ever ended up in Marsport. I'm assuming that's you.
Here's Rocket Secret. Was about to be a really bad day. Take that knife out of sheath and toss it over.
Lan's been a corpse 3 sols. Gov pinned him with multiple homicide and made him take a long walk with no rig. So I doubt he's been saying anything to anyone about me. Goddamn.
My name is Bryce Gordon. I just got off the transport from the terminal.
It's like you're twins.
We were.
You can lower the pepper gun, Joe.
Okay. Holler if you need me.
In that rig, I took you for a local juicer, or a stick-up kid.
The immigration agent worked me pretty good.
The graft is always greener. Welcome to Mars. I take it you need a place to flop.
Among other things.
Follow me, sweetness. Let's see if we can get you taken care of, only as Mother Corey can. The coop is bare bones, but it's safe. I have arrangements with the local crews, and we don't see much of the MPF here. Nobody bothers my tenants, or they answer for it. You can buy water from me or my grandson Shell downstairs.
Your grandson?
Mother breeds like the best of them. Kid's got a head full of regolith, but what can you do? Blood is blood, right? Cleaning sand is free, comes from the tank on the roof. The head is shared, of course. Reclaimer in the basement recycles everything, and we waste nothing on Mars.
Sounds good.
Your piss and shit, it all comes here. All of it. That's the deal. I get exclusive rights to your bio-waste. Gotcha?
And how do I even...
Zood'll store your urine. Just dump it here.
And the other stuff?
Oh, that's up to you, baby. This is you. 301.
Fuck off! What the hell, Corey?
It's eviction day, motherfuckers.
We pay rent.
Out. Take care of the other one for me, would you, hun?
Hey, sorry about this.
I didn't say kill the poor man.
Sorry?
Bitch is all hulked out on Earth strength. Jesus. Get with the show, doll. 37% Earth gravity makes you Superman. You get it?
I mean, I knew that I was gonna be stronger. Wow.
Goddamn G-man.
What does that even mean?
1G demon. Hey, Flopper, you dead?
I don't think so.
Grab your friend here. If you can find someone else to share with, you can stay. Otherwise, cheers.
Oh, okay. Come on, man. Get up.
Okay. Get settled in. Strength like that, it could find you work if you want it.
Thought I'd try my hand at the tables. Always cleaned up on Earth, and I hear the security in the dens is,
less than cutting edge. I brought a little help with the odds.
Oh, snuck a scrambler up, huh?
I've got plans. I just need a local fixer who knows the lay.
A lady after my own heart. My taste is 15% here on, and that's the friends and family discount. Also, you let me know if you decide to hawk that gadget before you offload it. Call it right of first refusal. Only fair for your dear mother, right?
Understood. I don't plan on being here long, though.
You got somewhere else to be?
Just need to earn enough to buy my way out of this mess.
Got a thing for the blue marble, huh?
Something like that.
Someone more like it. But that's no concern of mine, baby. Word of warning, though. There's an order to things here. Don't get Dad playing with fire and all that.
I'm a big girl.
Get some rest. You look like the devil dragged you in.
Thank you, Mother Corey.
Mama's got you. And sorry about your brother. He was a good kid.
Did he do what they say?
Does it matter?
To me?
Yeah. He said that about you.
Mother Corey was wrong. Dead wrong. The only thing that mattered to me was getting off this rock. When you've worked the beats I have, you understand that every society has a shadow, an underworld working in the cracks and crevices of the system. Turns out the magic number to fake my own death and buy myself a new life back on Earth was exactly 1 mil. And by 3 months into my stay, I was on track to pull it off, too. I just needed one last score. Mars. Humanity's great endeavor. A 300-year mission to turn a barren world into a new Eden. As if it wasn't our hands that had almost destroyed the original. How would we know anything about Eden? A century and a half since the first of the great skyscraper-like terraforming machines had landed on the red soil, Mars had come to symbolize something else. Greed.
Last call for bets. Please confirm your selections.
Let it ride. Everything on Diamond Lagrange 4.
No more bets. The orbit is now locked. Diamond Lagrange 4 wins. What a streak! The lady wins again. Please collect your chits or bet again.
Boss, we have problem at high orbit table.
Yeah, I've been watching her for the last few.
Let's go for one more. Move everything to the field. I'm feeling lucky.
Are you sure? The odds of successfully navigating the asteroid field are approximately 3,720 to 1.
Let's move this along. Got somewhere else to be.
She must be hacking the table somehow.
See how she stands? She's a G-man, definitely. Maybe ex-Neo.
Could be on leave.
The last Terran Marines pulled out more than a year ago. Oh, no. This one's a tourist trying to pull a fast one and then rock hop.
How do you want to handle it?
The asteroid field wins. What a streak! The lady wins again. Please collect your chits or bet again.
Pay me out. Hurry up.
You know what? Grab Tom and 2 others. I want to talk to her first. After that, make it clean, call the 10 badges. They'll make her disappear.
The 168,421 chits have been added to your chip. Thank you for playing with us. Come again soon.
Please, we need you to come.
Look, fellas. I'm taking my winnings and going. No fuss, no muss. All right?
Oh, look at you. You have some real itch, yeah. I'll give you that.
You're asking yourself why I am so lucky. It's a gift. I just am. But I respect that you need to put on your little show. I'll even let you escort me out if it makes you feel better.
Now tell me, what makes you think you can walk into my place and rob me in blind daylight?
Not to correct you, but it's 3 a.m. You should really go outside sometime. Your complexion is looking a little pale.
Nobody steals from Fatia Markov.
If that's how you want to play it, I can just tell all these fine people how you rig your games. I'm sure they'd want to know.
You won't be telling anyone anything when I feed your corpse to my reclaimer.
Thanks.
For what?
Getting close enough to grab.
Jesus, you're strong.
It's the one thing I like about Mars. Now, how about we take a walk, Fatia?
Get the rats behind.
Tell them to back off. Don't make this messy.
Stay back, get back.
That's better. Later, fellas. It's been fun. Thanks for the dance, Fatia.
That's too much.
Halt! Marsport Municipal Police. Hands against the wall. You are under arrest.
Officers, this was all just a little snafu. I'm sure we can find a reasonable and lucrative solution.
Now, what took you so long? Kill this Katina.
Okay, so I guess you already made a deal. I just want to say one thing.
You have 5 seconds.
I'm really glad guns and domes don't mix.
She's breaking for it. 5468 requesting backup. We have a female chief at foot mobile fleeing north in the red light district.
Just gotta get to the roofs.
Backup en route. That's a negative on surveillance. Cancel that dome or confirmation.
If I stayed on Mars, most of the benefits of being a G-man would wear off within a couple years, as my muscles atrophied and my circulatory system weakened. But while I'm here, I'm taking full advantage of this shit. The 12-foot gaps between buildings flew by as I made my way back to the airlock where I had stowed my helmet. One of the most striking things about Mars is how rudimentary life is here. The last frontier. The effort it takes to keep the 50 million who call Mars home alive is all but exhausting. There's no room for anything else. Every other need beyond air, sustenance, and of course maintaining the domes was a luxury that still had to make its way from Earth. You have to make choices about what stays and what goes when your lifeline is a spaghetti string of space freighters long-hauling across the cosmos. That meant no cell towers, no mass transit, no internet. Components for most everything were hard to come by. Then other choices were simply about survival. A stray bullet could travel miles and puncture the skin of every dome in its path. That meant no firearms on Mars. It was a line no one, not even the hardest criminal, was willing to cross.
Suit pressure nominal. Battery at 96%. Warning, suit maintenance required. Please replace emergency seals at the soonest convenience.
Great time for a dust storm.
Most of the lights that had once lined the streets between domes had either burnt out or been stolen for parts. That darkness was usually not a problem. But in the storm of dust and regolith, I could barely see 10 feet in front of me.
Hey there!
It was almost like a ghost materializing out of thin air when I first caught sight of him, standing in the middle of the road.
Looks like you're in trouble, friend. Maybe more than you know.
The face smiling at me through his helmet was young, handsome, maybe too handsome, and with a smile cockier than a car salesman.
You have 2 seconds before I go around you or through you. The choice is yours.
Option number 3. I convoy you back to wherever you're gone.
His 2 long knives seemed to dance into his hands like an Old West gunslinger drawing down. Then just as quickly, they disappeared back into their sheaths.
I get you home safe. Guaranteed.
How much?
How's a G-spot?
Call it 3.
All right. Name's Izzy. Honest Izzy.
Okay, honest, Izzy. We're headed to...
Kinross, I know. You might want to draw that blade, man.
think you're doing?
You paid me to track her for you. I held up my contract. Now she's paid me to see her home safely. All's fair and honest. Green aircraft, hombre.
7 of them appeared out of the storm all at once, armed to the teeth with clubs, bats, and knives.
Give us that chip and we'll let you live, G-Man.
I recognized their leader at once, Mother Corey's grandson. 7 against 2, if Izzy was indeed honest, weren't the worst odds.
It's just biz, not the person. Or make us take it from you. And you gonna water the sand right here.
Shell, I promise you are going to be the first to drop. Are you still with me?
By your side, boss.
Good night, Bryce.
They all came at once, except for Shell, who disappeared into the storm. There were far more than 7, but how many was impossible to know as they darted in and out of my limited field of vision. One after another they came in, one after another I beat them back, cutting away at cheap plastic and smashing in the thin plexi.
Warning. Suit integrity compromised. Engaging emergency field. Warning.
Hey, boss.
Suit malfunction. Emergency field not. Pressure dropping below tolerance.
The reason so many carried knives for self-defense is that one good puncture to your suit, and you were on a ticking clock. The incoming attacks stopped. The enemy knew it was over and just watched as the inevitable happened. I cursed myself for my own stupidity as everything went red. With every ounce of strength I had left, I tried to stay on my feet. And all just went black.
Relax, baby. You're alive.
No, Bryce.
I had nothing to do with it. The shit made the play on his own. The kid patched you and brought you to me. I keep an epi booster on hand. Even so, it was touch and go for a minute there. You've been out for 18 hours.
Glad to see you came through it, boss.
The money.
They took it off you. I couldn't stop them.
I'll get you your fee. Just need to get to my room.
I didn't keep our deal. Wouldn't be honest.
Kid has 3 broken ribs.
I'm alive. Home. You did your job.
I'm afraid there's more. Shell and 2 of the shits he runs with broke into your room.
My stash.
Under the floor. They got it all. I was asleep upstairs. Shell barred my door from the outside, and by the time I busted through, they were gone.
I know he's your grandson, but I am gonna find him and burn him alive.
No, you're not.
Tell her.
You got bigger problems. The heavy whose parlor you hit last night ain't no petty player. She's Big 7, largest cartel on Mars. Not top of the pyramid, but high enough to call a hit. Shiny enough that every dirtbag and badge alike will be coming for you.
Fuck!
Normally, the play would be a seat on a freighter.
What are my other options?
You could nullify the hit. Pay the police the join-up rate plus your bounty. Put on a badge and it becomes a shield against all of this. But then the MPF owns you.
What's the bounty?
$3 million.
I mean, I could scratch that together if I had the time.
Shell's crew knows where you are. They'll sell that info for a finder's fee.
The gangs know not to make a play on my turf. The MPF, though, they'll be coming.
Lend me the money.
I like you, but honey, please.
What other option do I have?
What about another city?
I could possibly get you to OC or Shalbatana. Olympus City is the safer bet. I have a shipment heading out in 2 days. The question is, how to get you out of the coop.
Probably already watching this place.
Not probably. But hear this, Ladybird. I do this, and you work for me and me alone from here on.
Turns out, New Kinross had an interesting secret. It was one of the very first domes on Mars.
Whoa.
It had been built directly above the original colony. The first pioneers to brave the new world had built their homes safely beneath the surface in the massive inert lava tubes that crisscrossed the planet. Mother set up in the coop here entirely because it still had access to the network through the sub-basement. A smuggler's paradise. Only this time, I was the one being smuggled 100 meters below the city. Seismic activity from the terraforming machines had forced those early settlers above ground, but it was all still here, perfectly preserved, frozen in time beneath the decades of dust.
Hello?
A ghost town.
Hello?
And as I followed the paths Mother's crew used, I felt like a specter, floating lost through some ethereal half-world, a shadow of the person I once was. The hatch in the outskirts where Mother's contact would be waiting to see me safely out of Marsport was exactly where she said it would be. The domes were more than a mile to the west, and as the vast Martian landscape stretched out before me, I couldn't help but smile. It's a funny thing how hope works. It keeps us going just long enough to fall into the next trap.
She's down. Is she still breathing? She's alive.
Did you honestly think it would be that simple to escape the long arm of destiny? It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Miss Gordon.
We are not supposed to be here. I didn't realize until now. Guess one more reminder, I'm a hangman. If you mess this up, you really let me die. You know that I'm afraid of tiny spaces. How could you leave me here too high? I can't tell the difference in their faces. Monsters come in different shapes and sizes. Cause nowhere else to be. Small voices singing set me free.
I hope you enjoyed this installment of The Exile. If you just can't wait for that next episode, did you know that you can listen to it right now? That's right. You can get early access and ad-free listening to every episode in the series through our brand new CMA Universe Plus subscription, exclusively on Apple Podcasts. You can also connect with us online on Facebook and Instagram under the handle @CMAnthology. Want to dive even deeper? Join us for a live listen. Meet the cast and go behind the scenes in our after shows presented at twitch.com/fnfunny. 7 p.m. Pacific time on the Tuesdays each new main episode airs. For information about the after show, merch, and a whole lot more, check us out online at cmanthology.com. Tonight's show starred Tiffany Smith as Bryce Gordon and featured the voices of Malcolm Barrett as Honest Izzy, Eugene Bird as Shell Corey, Phil Lamar as the station chief, Trace Lissette as Mother Corey, Sandeep Parikh as Rand, Stephen Weston as Skag, Milana Weintraub as Fatya Markov, Amy Vorpal as 3, with additional voices by Jonathan Edelman, Jason Irvin, Philip Gray, Matt Hoban, Tien Nguyen, Blythe Renee, and Melissa Starr. This episode was written, designed, and edited by me, your host, Jonathan Pezza. Voice directing by Tiffany Smith and Jonathan Pezza. The Exile was made possible by the amazing support of our Kickstarter backers. Executive produced by Scott Pezza and Dan Evans. Co-executive produced by Richard J. Pezza, Patrick Lepalato, and Derek A. Hughes. It was produced by Jonathan Pezza, Tiffany Smith, and Sandeep Parikh, and co-produced by Ali Mashieki and Jack Bowman. Assistant editing by Mohammed Moiz Riaz and Francis Pezza. Original score composed by Jonathan Pezza, with additional tracks provided by Epidemic Sound and featuring the musical talents of Tori Wolf, Suffer City, Xperia, and Sight of Wonders. The Exile is based on Police Your Planet by Lester Del Rey, a literary work in the public domain and was produced in accordance with U.S. copyright law. Curious Matter Anthology is produced by the Knightsville Workshop in association with F & Funny Productions. Copyright Knightsville Workshop 2024, all rights reserved. Make sure to tune in next week for our very first minisode titled Message in a Bottle. See you then, and as always, thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening. All the links to the show you've just heard are in the show notes below. Definitely check them out and subscribe to their feeds if you like what you heard today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leviathan Presents, and maybe you've discovered a new show that you'd like to binge. We're looking forward to bringing you some more amazing audio dramas to discover and letting you meet some of the phenomenally talented creators that are driving this renaissance in audio fiction today. Stay subscribed to this feed for more installments of Leviathan Presents, as well as all the full episodes of the Leviathan Chronicles, the Rapscallion Agency, the Invenios Expedition, and all the other spin-offs we have planned. This is Christoph, signing off for now. Thanks again for listening. I'll be talking to you all real soon. Bye now.